Hey everyone, welcome to Raptor's Recon. Today we're gonna delve into some exciting news for Warhammer 40k fans, especially those eagerly awaiting updates on Henry Cavill's live action project. According to a recent article from that Park Place, rumors are circulating that Cavill's Warhammer 40k live action adaptation isn't dead, despite earlier concerns that it might be on hold. We'll look at what makes this rumor credible, why it matters, and why Henry Cavill's role as a true fan could be essential to bringing the 40k universe to life on the big screen. First, let's talk about why Henry Cavill's involvement in a Warhammer 40k adaptation is such a big deal. Cavill isn't just another Hollywood name attached to a global franchise, he's a genuine fan. He's mentioned in interviews his love for building and painting Warhammer miniatures, and he's talked about how much he respects the lore. It's rare to have a high profile actor who's so passionate and knowledgeable about the source material, which is huge for a property like Warhammer 40k with its deeply complex lore. He is a gamer at heart and likes to sling dice as much as the rest of the 40k community. For fans, Cavill's dedication to respecting the Warhammer 40k universe is critical. The setting has a massive loyal following that expects any adaptation to remain true to its roots gritty, dark, and uncompromising. Cavill's commitment reassures fans that he won't let Hollywood water down or radically alter the universe that they love. Now, where does Amazon fit into all of this? Now, let's dig into what may have been one of the biggest points of contention, right? Amazon reportedly wanted to introduce female space marines into canon. There was some pushback, and Amazon decided to push for the changes in the Custodes, one of Warhammer 40k's most iconic factions. For those less familiar with the lore, the Custodes are genetically engineered superhuman warriors, fiercely loyal to the Emperor and legendary for their role as his personal guardians. Traditionally, they've always been male, a detail deeply rooted in the Warhammer universe. Now, Games Workshop has caved a bit to Amazon's pressure and introduced female custodes to the actual history, kind of retconning years and years of books and lore and previous codexes, and then try to pass it off as if this was always the way it was. But to put it in perspective, Cavill's resistance to this proposed change makes sense, especially given his deep connection to Warhammer lore. Not only is he known to be a dedicated fan, but the Custodes are also reportedly one of his favorite factions to play in Warhammer 40k. Rumor has it that he countered Amazon's suggestion with an alternative. He didn't just want to say, hey, look, I don't want this to happen. I want to also bring some suggestions. Okay, as creative lead on this thing, he's like, let me help you out. So, what did he suggest? He figured if they wanted strong female forces, strong female characters, why not spotlight the Adepta Sororitas, known as the Sisterhood, or Daughters of the Emperor, Sisters of Battle. He also suggested the Anathema Psychana, known as the Sisters of Silence. Both factions are already established in the Warhammer universe as powerful all-female divisions with their own unique backstories and abilities. The Sisters of Battle are famous for their faith-fueled strength and heavy artillery, while the Sisters of Silence possess anti-psyker abilities that make them essential in battles against the Warp. From a lore perspective, Cavill's suggestion seems ideal. Both the Sisters of Battle and the Sisters of Silence are well-known factions in Warhammer 40k and bring incredible depth to the universe. Using these existing groups would satisfy the desire for female representation without disrupting established lore. If this rumor is accurate, it highlights Cavill's dedication to maintaining authenticity, ensuring that any changes with respect to the original world created by Games Workshop were kept to a minimum. However, it's been suggested that Amazon wasn't interested in those alternatives, creating a possible impasse on this point. Despite the impasse, I feel like this update just reveals how deep Cavill's understanding of Warhammer lore is. And it positions his response as both logical and deeply respectful of fan expectations. And at the same time, he didn't completely ignore Amazon's desire to have, a kind of a diverse cast, but he wanted to do that in a respectful way to the established universe and established canon. So originally, it had been reported that Henry Cavill had put the brakes on this project because he did not want to disrupt the canon, and so it seemed like Cavill and was butting heads with Amazon, and they were both kind of drawing lines in the sand. But it seems like the rumor of this pushing forward might be a sign of good things to come. Now, how reliable is this rumor? That Park Place has been a source of behind the scenes industry updates before, and the timing makes sense given the recent buzz around Cavill's career shifts, especially after his departure from The Witcher. And then, as a side note, he was also tagged to take part in the upcoming Voltron live action. In addition, Amazon's experience with the Lord of the Rings series, where fan backlash about lore authenticity was intense. I mean, I know they pressed on with more seasons and whatnot, but they have really gone off the rails with Lord of the Rings. So that backlash that they're feeling from that could also be pushing them to reconsider how far they're willing to alter Warhammer's universe. The studio, they might be actually realizing that fans want a faithful adaptation, and Cavill, being both an A-list actor and an avid Warhammer fan, might be the best bet for delivering that. So ultimately, what does all this mean for fans hoping to see Cavill wield a chain sword or command the Emperor's forces? The news that the project isn't dead is promising, but it's likely that both Cavill and Amazon are taking extra steps to ensure this adaptation is done right. With a property like Warhammer 40k, they don't get a second chance to make a good first impression. And if they're wise, they'll let Cavill lead the way in creating an adaptation that both respects the lore and brings new audiences into the fold. Warhammer 40k is huge. If they do it right, it can be as big as franchises such as Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Marvel, and the like. So, handled carefully, this could be a winner. But time is ticking. December marks the due date for whether or not they're going to press forward with this. So we've got about a month and a half to see where this is actually going. Thanks for joining us today on Raptor's Recon. This is definitely a project to keep on your radar, especially if you're a Warhammer 40k fan, Henry Cavill fan, or both. For more on Cavill's journey and updates on the Warhammer series, stay tuned right here. Now, let's hear your thoughts in the comments. Would you want Cavill to take a hardline stance on staying true to the lore, or are there changes you'd actually welcome in a Warhammer adaptation? Let's get the conversation started below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, as well as tap the notification button for more pop culture news, entertainment reviews, and everything in between.